They told you a story, but the reality is far darker than anyone could imagine. What you're about to hear was hidden from the world, until now. And what we uncovered next changes everything. A small town, quiet streets, a community that prided itself on safety. But one night, that illusion shattered. A man vanished without a trace, leaving behind only unanswered questions. No note, no witness, nothing except whispers and fear. Neighbors claimed they heard noises, screams that echoed through the night, but authorities dismissed it as nothing more than imagined disturbances. Until years later, evidence surfaced that turned everything upside down. The first clue appeared in the most unlikely place. A forgotten storage unit, locked for decades, contained documents no one had seen before. Hidden files, photographs, and personal journals revealing connections that made even the most seasoned detectives uneasy. Names that had never been linked together, until now. And the chilling part? These people were all connected to the missing man, yet no one dared speak his name aloud. A witness came forward, a voice trembling with fear, claiming to have seen something terrifying that night. But what they revealed didn't make sense. Faces of authority, people the town trusted completely, were present. And yet, according to the official reports, nothing happened. Who could have imagined the truth hiding in plain sight? Who knew the full story? And why was it hidden? The more we dug, the more twisted it became. Financial records, buried under piles of paperwork, suggested large sums of money moving between accounts nobody could trace. Some of it linked directly to the missing man, others to people long thought innocent. What we found next will leave you speechless: evidence of manipulation, cover-ups, and a level of control no one expected. And that's not even the worst part. The people who promised protection, who claimed to serve justice, were the very ones orchestrating the events that destroyed lives. Friends became enemies, enemies became invisible, and somewhere in the shadows, a plan continued to unfold, one that had started long before anyone realized it. If you want to see what they tried to hide next, stay tuned, because the next discovery changed everything. Hidden recordings, secret correspondences, even a series of unreported deaths, all pointing to a conspiracy so elaborate that the town itself seemed complicit, even if unknowingly. Who could imagine such a web of deceit? Who could see how deeply the darkness had penetrated? Every lead brought more questions than answers. Every testimony hinted at a greater truth. No one could explain what happened next. People began disappearing, and the fear that gripped the town was unlike anything recorded. The missing man was just the beginning, and the trail of evidence suggested a deliberate pattern, almost ritualistic in nature. Was it random, or was every move calculated? What we uncovered next turned the story inside out. Diaries and letters surfaced, written in code, referencing meetings, dates, and people who had vanished under suspicious circumstances. Authorities denied it, records were altered, the town's history itself seemed rewritten. And yet, the documents couldn't lie. They painted a picture of something terrifying, something orchestrated, something serial. Everything you thought you knew about this case is about to change, because as we traced the threads, it became clear that the conspiracy was not just local. It stretched far beyond the town, touching people in positions of influence, wealth, and power. Names that were familiar to the public suddenly had sinister implications. What we found next proved there were no coincidences. The missing man's last known movements led to a remote cabin, abandoned for decades, untouched by time. Inside, there were remnants of a plan, objects carefully hidden, documents never meant to see the light of day. It was a record of actions, a roadmap of manipulation, and perhaps even a confession, though cryptic and incomplete. Who had left it there? And why did they risk so much for it to remain undiscovered for years? And just when it seemed like we were uncovering the full story, another twist emerged. Someone had been watching: cameras, logs, even witnesses who had been silenced before they could speak. Every step we took, every lead we followed, seemed anticipated. And the deeper we dug, the clearer it became. This was bigger than a town, bigger than a crime. This was a network, a serial conspiracy that had carefully masked itself in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to strike again. The truth has been buried for decades, but now it's finally coming to light. And the next revelation will change everything you thought you knew. The moment we stepped into the missing man's world, the magnitude of the conspiracy became undeniable. Every photograph, every ledger, every scrap of paper hinted at planning that spanned years. It wasn't just a crime, it was a system. A twisted, deliberate network designed to manipulate, silence, and control. And the question that haunted us: how many had fallen victim without the world ever knowing? The cabin held more than secrets. A hidden compartment revealed videotapes, their contents almost too horrifying to watch. Faces of people long thought safe. Voices begging for help, and in the corner, the unmistakable handwriting of the missing man, chronicling encounters that no one else could confirm. He had been documenting the truth that someone desperately tried to erase. But that's not even the worst part. The conspirators weren't just anonymous figures hiding in the shadows. They were neighbors, friends, community leaders, even law enforcement. Each document, each recorded interaction, pointed to a terrifying realization: the people who were supposed to protect the town were orchestrating its terror. And yet, they had done it so meticulously, so carefully, that suspicion never fell on them, until now. Witnesses came forward, slowly, cautiously. One after another, their accounts began to match the evidence in ways that made the hair on the back of our necks stand up. They spoke of meetings in secret locations, of threats veiled as friendly advice, of disappearances covered up as accidents. And the chilling revelation: this network wasn't just local. It reached into other towns, into other cities, weaving an invisible web that no one outside could ever see. Everything you thought you knew about this case is about to change, because buried in a series of letters we found, there was proof of coordination. Names, dates, even instructions on how to manipulate investigations, influence media, and erase records. Who could have imagined the full scope of this network? And why had no one uncovered it sooner? The deeper we dug, the more the pattern emerged. The missing man had been on the verge of exposing everything. He had pieced together evidence that connected multiple disappearances, multiple murders, and multiple betrayals. And the night he vanished, it wasn't random. It was planned, calculated, a warning to anyone who might follow the trail. And yet, here we were, following the very path he had laid, uncovering what they had fought so hard to conceal. And what we found next will leave you speechless. Hidden in a safe deposit box was a final document, written in meticulous detail. It described the motivations behind the network, the manipulation of law, money, and fear to maintain control. And most shocking of all, it named names. Powerful people, untouchable on paper, who had orchestrated terror in ways that no one suspected. No one could have imagined how deep the darkness ran. And as the layers peeled back, a terrifying truth became clear. The network had been operating for decades, leaving a trail of victims, silence, and fear. And now, with every revelation, the very people who had thought themselves untouchable were exposed. If you want to see what they tried to hide next, stay tuned, because the story doesn't end here. New evidence surfaced: emails, phone logs, even secret surveillance, that connected every piece of the puzzle. And in that evidence was the shocking implication: the conspiracy was far from finished. It had been waiting, patient, invisible, and ready to strike again. The final twist came unexpectedly. Among the papers was a list: names of those who had been complicit, those who had resisted, and those who had disappeared without explanation. And the missing man, he wasn't gone entirely. Clues suggested he had left a trail specifically for someone to uncover, a warning, a guide. But only the bold would follow it. Only the brave would survive the truth. The truth has been buried for decades, but now it's finally coming to light. And the next revelation will change everything you thought you knew, because the serial conspiracy wasn't just about one town, one man, or one crime. It was about a system that continues to manipulate, deceive, and hide in the shadows. Check the next episode to uncover more shocking truths. Support the investigation, and subscribing keeps you on the front line of every hidden story. The darkness is patient, but so are we.